The sacred ritual of forgiveness. This is part 5 in the Power of Forgiveness series. And it's so integral to amplifying the feminine energy that we have within us. And it's a sacred process because the act of forgiveness means that there is a resentment or an anger point to a situation, a challenge, a who or what. And being able to walk through the entire process and see the red thread that goes through it and have a complete closure allows you to look at the situation for what it was, to assess it, to feel and express your emotions and feelings, your wants, your needs, your desires, or set a boundary around that specific moment that brought anger and resentment to the point of forgiveness, understanding the power of forgiveness so that you can let that moment go and go on to live your most fabulous, magical life. So I'm going to go through and I will share with you exactly what you need in order to fulfill the sacred ritual of forgiveness. And then I will go and explain each one of the steps and show you how we do it. And then you will replicate it in your everyday life. And you will have a magnificent tool in your beautiful pouch of things to do in order to ensure that you have relationship wisdom, you attain self-mastery, and go on to live your most fabulous conscious life exactly the way you want it. So let's begin. I love a ritual. So I am the person that's going to set up the place. I'm going to have incense. I'm going to have candles lit because you know it just sets the vibe, especially if it's such a cathartic moment that's dark and heavy and we're releasing it. I also like either a glass of wine or a cup of tea, sometimes a Johnny Walker Blue because that just makes life really good and you need to get these things out. You need a match. You need a fireproof bowl. You need several pieces of paper. And I am just from the witchy hocus pocusness of my life. I like a pencil, but sometimes people like a pen. So you use whatever makes you happy in this situation because that is the focus, is for you to release something that is harboring or harming you emotionally. So what exactly is resentment? Resentment is a prolonged emotional reaction to mistreatment. How does it affect you? It brings up like these senses of emotional, perhaps even abandonment, where, first of all, it's subjective. Secondly, it's an emotional state in which people feel either undesired, left behind, insecure, or discarded. So the first thing you do when it comes to the 5-step process of your sacred ritual is you identify. Identify the who or the what around the situation or challenge that you are looking to release, to forgive and release. I can use the example of both my father and my late husband passing away from cancer. So my thing that I'm identifying, this is number one, you're identifying the who or the what of the challenge and situation. For me, it's cancer, all right? We can just use that. It's pretty benign. We all are familiar with it. We either know someone who's done it, we've seen it on TV, you've experienced it in your own familial circle. So you start off by writing down in a letter, dear cancer. And you go on to write everything that you want to say to that person or about that challenge in your situation. Just get it out. It doesn't matter how horrible it is because you're not going to show it to anybody. Just get it all out of your system. So for me with cancer, it would be something as, dear cancer, oof, I forgive you for taking these magnificent men from me, taking away the love, one of the loves of my life, taking away I forgive you for how chemo and radiation affected these people's lives. I forgive you for the hurt and the pain that was incurred through having cancer. I forgive you for the hurt and pain for all of us, the family members, loved ones who were collateral damage. I forgive you for the loss of a person and their skills in which they imparted so beautifully into the world. That's a perfect example, right? Then 2. Also remember that if you say after writing all of this, I am not forgiving this person or place or situation, granted, that's fine. It just lets you know you have a little more work to get through that, to be able to move it through. Second, I am grateful for. Difficult to imagine that you could be grateful for anything with cancer. In my experience, this is what I saw and what I was grateful for. The importance of being present, loving, truly, wholly a person. Patience, kindness, being present, fully present, always expressing wants and needs and desires and fulfilling those of those that you love and you care for, that are always aligned with your greater good. The importance of family, the importance of structure, the importance of living your life fully when you have it. The understanding that everything in your life begins and ends with you. That is the things that I was grateful for and I learned through that experience. Then, number 3, I release. You write it down. I release. What are you releasing? You're releasing all the negative emotions and energy you have around that challenge or that situation. Everything, just put it down. It made you feel sad. It made you feel powerless. It made you see whatever it is, just write it down there. This is my example when it comes to cancer, right? And then, because now you have this empty void, because you've excavated all of that darkness from you, and you've put it down into a piece of paper, maybe 5, that no one is ever going to read. Let's be clear. So just put it out there. And then you replace on the same piece of paper, see, you write, I replace all of the negative energy with the strength, knowledge, and wisdom of all the good in the universe. And then you ball it up, you roll it up, you get a match, there's something so satisfying about burning this, because first of all, nobody's ever going to read it. And it's a sacred act of releasing something. So you just burn it and make sure you put it in that fireproof bowl, preferably in the kitchen sink where you can put water on it. And then finally what you do is you go and you buy yourself a little bunch of flowers. I'm watching it because, it is fire. You go buy yourself a beautiful bunch of flowers. And at this point, you're probably saying, flowers? Why do I need flowers? Think about it. Anytime you go visit someone who's sick in the hospital or in their home, what do you bring? Flowers. Do you know why? Flowers. They absorb negativity. They remind you of how beautiful and vivacious and how life is filled with vitality. So every time you look at it, first of all, it's going to pick all that rest of that's around the environment. The flowers are going to pick it up. Every time you look at it, it reminds you of beauty and vitality and the essence of your magnificent, beautiful life. And then at the end of that week, when those flowers are dead, you collect them and you put them in your backyard behind your shrubs so that the ground can absorb the energy and move on with this magical life. If you live in an apartment like I do, you put it in one of those recycled paper bags, and I always just walk over to the park because there's so many here, and I shove them underneath the shrubs so that the ground can absorb it in that way. And this, my darlings, is how you add a sacred ritual to the power of forgiveness. I trust that this little nugget of goodness that you're going to add to your tool belt of ways to be adaptable, of ways to ensure that you are fully present in attaining relationship wisdom, self-mastery, and a conscious life, living it exactly the way you want. Use it. Write it in the comments below. Let me know how you enjoyed it, how it benefited you, what your experience was, because after all, this is a community and we're building and developing and loving every moment of our magical, magnificent life. Thanks for being here.